Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here with us, guys. I know it was a long journey to get here. This is a really exciting panel because, as many of you know, I actually grew up in Miami and have lived there basically my whole life until about 4 years ago when I first got to experience the Seattle summer. And I've never spent a summer anywhere else, so super excited to be here. I thought we could start off by having you guys just introduce yourselves briefly. What is your current role, and where did you fly in from today, or whenever you flew in?
Yeah. Hey everyone, I'm Zach with Trading VC. We're a media company. We cover all real estate, venture capital, technology news around the world. I'm originally from Connecticut, but I've been living in Miami for 3 years now. I was at Las Olas Venture Capital before, and now I'm at Trading. I actually flew in today from London. I got up here from London last night. I was away for the past week in different countries around Europe. And I actually lived here 4 years ago for 2 months. I did an apprenticeship here, so it's really exciting to be back, and I love the city. So thank you all for having us.
And for those who don't know, Traded has a massive following on Instagram. So when startups raise money, they usually feature them. And so he's a great connector and great person to know.
Hi everybody, I'm Nate Dapore, founder and managing partner of Root Capital. We're based in Miami, and we also have an office in New York. Collectively about 100 million of AUM. Our fund one was 65. We're in the process of launching fund two, which will be 125. Very unique approach to venture. I was a 3-time founder. First company I took public on the NASDAQ. I was a public trade company for 10 years called Benefit Focus. It was a healthcare software company based in Charleston. And then my second company was a software company in talent management called People Matter. And the third company was Certitude, which was actually a really weird turn. It was in executive search. And that's really inspiration for our firm is we're almost like PE and VC. We do pre-seed, seed, and Series A investments nationwide. We have actually a company here in Seattle, up in Fremont. I was here for board meetings, so I have to be in town. Pablo is the most connected human being I know in the world. I just pull everywhere. Muster 3 guys from 3,500 miles away, get them to come up to this part of the world, which is a beautiful place. But we have a company here called Howie, which is an AI software company that is a virtual scheduling assistant. And so those are the type of companies we like to do. We do pre-seed, seed, Series A, healthcare, vertical SaaS, and cybersecurity.
Hey, how is everybody? My name is Saxon Baum, and I'm a partner at FLF, formerly known as Florida Funders. Zach, thank you so much for breaking the news 3 weeks ago. We just rebranded from Florida Funders to FLF because we do deals all over the country. We're an early stage fund, call it late pre-seed, early Series B, raising our 4th vehicle right now, give or take about $500 million AUM. And I'm a partner at the firm. And I've been with the firm about 8 years. Prior to being in venture, I was an operator. I was not as successful as Nate, unfortunately. I did raise some money. We made our investor money back. I did not get rich, but we had a great time doing it. And we did have an exit. So that's really my background. Florida Funders or FLF, we focus, once again, early stage venture, primarily B2B enterprise SaaS. We do a lot, cybersecurity, fintech, AI, ML. We are Tampa is where I am and where I came from today, and Miami. So really excited to be here. Love this city. With my startup, we had a big customer here. So this is my 3rd or 4th time in Seattle, and thank you all for having me. And we're a very, very small LP. In OneSixOne Fund 1.
Absolutely.
Fund 1, right?
Yep, Fund 1.
Fund 1.
And so is Zach. So thank you so much for all the support, guys.
Of course.
Yeah, and follow Trade VC because we have an announcement coming in like 2 days. Go Florida Funders and their new rebrand. So follow us on Instagram and X and LinkedIn and check that out.
Great. For Nate and Saxon, are you guys currently deploying? And if so, what is the check size? And then what is like your sweet spot in terms of like how big the round, what stage, post-revenue, pre-revenue, all that?
Saxon, you want to go?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
We are actively raising our 4th fund, raising $100 million. We've raised about half of that, and we're actively deploying. We've invested in 70 companies up to this point. As you guys can imagine, about 3/4 of those companies are AI companies because we always want to stay cutting edge. We always want to be investing in what is new and exciting. Typically, we'll go late pre-seed to early Series B, but our sweet spot is really companies doing about $100K to $500,000 in annual revenue, trying to bridge from late seed to early A, get in when the valuation is still, give or take, sub $25 million, and then have a guy like Nate and Rube come in, put a lot of money into the company, mark us up, and then we get to work alongside smarter people. So we are actively deploying. Our check size is on the small side, $500,000, and on the large side, give or take about $3 million for initial checks, and then we'll go up to about $5 million per deal with this fund.
He's saying that because we're both in a very successful company in Miami called GoTo. They were in it first, and then we came in. It's a labor software marketplace company in the dental space, and they were the first check in, and we followed behind them, and done a great job building that business. I'll maybe talk a little bit about it if Pablo wants to. We do $250,000 to $500,000 in pre-seed. Our fund construct is more concentrated, so it's $65 million in Fund 1. It's about 20 companies that we'll do in Fund 1. We have 11 already, so we'll have about 9 more we'll do. And then we'll, as I mentioned earlier, launch Fund 2 at the end of this year. Probably start deploying out of that spring of next year. We've got an interesting LP base. The name is Rue. My husband, Tim, is Australian. I'm an Australian American. So half of our LP base is Australian. So it's kind of a unique aspect of the firm. I go to Australia every other month. Down there, we've got a lot of capital from Australia that are investors in the fund. And we'll do 2 guys in a broom closet with a server on a milk crate and a hope and a dream. We love those guys, all the way up to Series A. We did a $25 million check recently into a company called Steer. We were the lead investor. We were the only investor in that round, and we brought ExxonMobil in as an investor with us into that. We did 7 from our fund, 18 of co-invest. Exxon was 10 of the 18, and then the other 8 was from our LPs. And so we can write big checks. We like to lead. We don't like to be in the syndicate. And the reason is because we have an executive search firm in-house that does all the executive search work for our portfolio companies, as well as 30 other private equity firms. That was my third company I mentioned to you earlier, was in the executive search space. And that gives us a unique edge of how we source our deals. Our deals come typically through our search network. We have 200 A-listers, we call them. They're CEOs, CFOs, and chief revenue officers that we've met doing search work for usually private equity firms that are active angel investors and oftentimes an LP in a venture fund. And they send us proprietary deal flow. That's where we find really, really good deal flow. And we use that A-lister network for diligence. We have 21,000 people in the database from doing 8 years of executive search work. And so we'll go to our database for diligence when we're getting smart on a particular company or a thesis. Seed checks are usually about $1 to $3 million we'll do, and the A's, like I mentioned, $5 to $25 million is what we'll do. So we did 65 in Fund 1, and we did another 40 so far in co-invest alongside of Fund 1.
Amazing. And then just super quick, for folks who have never been to Florida or gotten involved in the tech ecosystem there, what is the ecosystem like? What is unique about it, and what's something that people should know about it?
Zach, you're plugged in pretty
Yeah.
So all the followers.
And when is a good time to visit too?
So best time to visit is not
right
Yeah, that's why we're all here.
Miami and South Florida as a whole is super unique. Obviously, geographically, we're located around all of Central or in South America. So a lot of the best talent in Latin America comes to Miami and South Florida to work in startups. So the talent pool is actually extremely rich with top engineers, designers, developers that come there. Also, Miami is kind of like a cultural melting pot and a hub for all different cultures around the country. But people from New York, San Francisco, Seattle have actually come down to South Florida and joined startups to be a part of the emerging ecosystem. There's something called the Florida Opportunity Fund, which invested $400 million into the state of Florida. It's actually backed a bunch of different funds in Florida to basically give capital to emerging managers so that they can invest in startups and they can have more capital to play with. So South Florida is growing, it's emerging, but it's an incredible ecosystem that is very much so changing almost every week. And it's really cool to be a part of it early on.
Yeah, he mentioned the Florida Opportunity Fund. All 3 of us have raised money from them. I think that was one of the most brilliant things that the state of Florida did. I think it was like 15 years ago. That they started this fund. They take pension money and they put it in a dedicated sleeve. because the way the pension system works in Florida is every state and municipality, police, fire are all in one big fund, where a lot of states will be segmented into, like down in LA, they have the LA Fire and Police Pension Fund, they have the LA County Employee Retirement Fund. If you're in Florida, every county and state is in the main, it's like a $400 billion vehicle, and they've carved out the sleeve for guys like Saxon, myself, and Zach, and they'll seed your fund, and they'll do, usually fund 1, 2, and 3. And that has been a huge catalyst to kind of get the ecosystem really off the ground, that it, kind of gets you going. You have a institutional LP in your fund that you can reference when you're raising money, which is super helpful. And I think it was very, very fortuitous for Florida to do that. And I can't add on anything to what Zach said, and I'll say Miami is the closest big city to America. It's a very unique place down there. It's also one of the only places I know where you can own a Lamborghini and have a roommate at the same time. It's quite an interesting place.
What's about high renting?
Yeah, exactly. There's no gas in that car. Yeah. It's interesting. Florida is a very fragmented ecosystem. So these guys both live in South Florida. I live in Central Florida. So I live in Tampa. Tampa these days is really becoming well known for cybersecurity. ReliaQuest, $4.3 billion company. $4.3 billion company just raised $500 million from KKR. You have companies like A-Line, ConnectWise. There's 5 cybersecurity unicorns in Tampa alone. Then you go to Orlando. In Orlando, you have Disney and hospitality and EA Sports. So you get a lot of hospitality technology. You get a lot of gaming technology. And then you go to the Space Coast. I mean, you go over and you've got SpaceX and Blue Origin and NASA. But none of these ecosystems really are together, I would say. It's very much so fragmented. Miami is Silicon Valley. Tampa is more like Los Angeles, if you want to say smaller but dense, a good ecosystem. Miami and South Florida is definitely, though, the leader. And we saw really an explosion in the state of Florida during COVID. So many people leaving California and New York came down to the state of Florida. Zach mentioned this already. They came down, they stayed down there. We had the likes of Thoma Bravo, we had the likes of Founders Fund and Dreesen, all of these major funds setting up shop in South Florida. And capital brought talent. And that's what a great ecosystem needs. So I always say we're in like the 3rd inning of building this technology ecosystem. And what we're going to start seeing is we're going to see the organic growth of the ecosystems when you have these companies exit, like a ReliaQuest, and you have several, 100 new millionaires made. They're going to go and start their next business and just continue to fuel that fire to build those ecosystems organically. So we're in a really interesting time in the state of Florida in terms of the tech ecosystem.
Also, a quick plug to you with UF and the UF.
Yes.
UF's, I think, #1 public school in the country. Engineering talent is incredible from University of Florida, and they're staying. So they're not just leaving and going to San Francisco, they're staying in Florida, which is incredible.
For those unfamiliar, UF has over 60,000 students, over 13,000 engineers. The co-founder and CTO of NVIDIA is actually a UF alumni, Chris Malachowski. He actually donated $60 million to UF. And we've got the most powerful supercomputer for AI at any university in the country. It's called the HyperGator, now 4.0. Also, Brett Adcock, founder of Figure AI, Archer, publicly traded company, also came out of the University of Florida. So it is a really great school. And we're the only DC in the entire city. But moving this along, I'm going to ask like 1 or 2 more questions, and then we're going to open it up for some audience Q&A. So first off, what is I know some of you have ties to Seattle. So what is your perception on the Seattle tech ecosystem? And if you have interest in this ecosystem, like what draws you to it?
Yeah, I mean, we have a company there that we invested, I mentioned earlier, is Howie, HOWIE.ai. It's up in Fremont, just north here. And great group of guys. Austin's the founder and CEO, and Dave, the co-founder, the CTO, are building an incredible business. It's an AI agent for, I call it affectionately the Calendly killer. Calendly is valued at $3 billion. I equate Calendly to a AM radio compared to what Howie is. Howie's like HD 4K TV. So it's a AI agent you can interact with. It becomes your personal assistant. I use it personally to manage my calendar, and it's incredible what it's done, and that has given me a window into this ecosystem. And look, you got some incredible companies right here, obviously in the backyard. I mean, Hope talked about they helped seed Amazon. Here, just the tech talent is just incredible that is up here. The key is continuing to kind of build the regulatory environment and really allowing these companies to unleash their potential up here. But I've been very impressed in the last, we've been involved with this company now for about 9 months. And I've been here now 3 times for board meetings. And the people I've met, the culture has been really, really impressive. And the second part of your question, Pablo, yes. I mean, we're not restricted to just the East Coast. I mean, I'd love to find another company here so I could kind of come for 2 companies instead of just one. So definitely would love to meet our founders.
We have no deals in Seattle, but we would love to have a deal in Seattle.
Because they're not just Florida anymore.
We are not just Florida. We haven't been for probably about 7 years. 50% of the portfolio is in the state of Florida, and the rest is scattered around. But just like Pablo, I think one thing that we really pride ourselves on is network. And so anytime I can have the opportunity to come, meet new people, build the network, I'm going to do that. So Pablo, thank you for inviting me. But yeah, really just want to meet great people, both founders and investors, and build an ecosystem out here.
Awesome. Let's take some audience questions. I'm sure some of you guys are raising or want to know more about these VCs that we have. I see we have a question back here.
You want to pass the mic to her? Or?
Yeah.
I can speak about this.
Okay.
Here, question, please.
Hi, Christian. I'm actually visiting in from Austin, Texas. Currently working for an AI startup, but I was working for a venture studio, and we dabbled a lot with like how to integrate AI into being able to, whether it be like portfolio management, due diligence, all the fun stuff that people are talking about. So I'm curious how you all are doing it currently, and what your goals are, or what you want to discover in that world.
This is relevant because we're building 3 tools right now. You guys can steal my ideas if you want. They're not that proprietary. The first thing is on intake. We've built an agent that you can upload a deck, you can upload an Excel. It'll extrapolate that. It pulls it into Google Docs and then puts it in HubSpot, which is our system of record. So it really takes that initial kind of step that one of our analysts would do, copy paste. It's completely removed that. So that's not that exciting, but that's the one thing we're doing. The company reporting is really interesting because we're actually trying to get away from quarterly reports. We're actively building a small language model that has all of the information from our entire portfolio. Since we started investing about a decade ago, we're pulling in decks, we're pulling in board notes, we're pulling in emails, and we're putting it in this system per company. And then our investors are going to be able to go and query this system to be able to ask how their investments are doing. And there'll be a unique indicator being their email saying, hey, you're only invested in X fund or X company through an SPV. You can only ask questions about this, but then we're bringing in benchmarking data. How is this company doing against benchmarking? How is this company doing against the market? And then we also built an agent that sits on top of an inbox for reporting that goes in and it scrapes information, any sort of unstructured data for updates, puts it in this system. And this is something we're really keen on. We felt as though we wanted to hire 2 or 3 people to do this. Now we feel like AI can do a lot of this. So we're really excited about these tools that we're building. Happy to chat more about that after too.
Yeah, and I actually come from the platform side of venture capital, so I worked at a fund for 2 years in South Florida. And on the platform side, I actually spent maybe 2 months researching all of the tools out there, standard metrics, visible VC, and there's so many different tools out there that firms are using to integrate into their portfolios to track key metrics, portfolio updates, all the decks that you get in the quarterly updates. You can take it, put it into the system, and it takes out everything that you need to know for your LP base, and it'll send them out automated emails. And that's being created and sold en masse, so it's definitely increasing a lot.
Yeah, we're building 2 tools. One is on sourcing, and so it basically will scrape for founders in stealth mode. This is not, again, I would say the same thing Saxon says, this is not proprietary or shattering. There's a lot of firms that are doing this. We're just doing it in-house ourselves to help with the sourcing engine. The second is to help us with diligence and specifically to cross-reference that database. I talked about the 21,000 executives that we have. We have this rich data of interview notes of interviewing all these people over the years for board roles or executive roles for these different searches that we've done, and being able to mine that data to be able to help us get smart and know exactly who to go to. So when we looked at that company Steer, I mentioned we did a $25 million check, and it was an automotive software company. It's a CRM and scheduling vertical SaaS business for independent repair shop, oil change, tire change centers. And we went to our database and we queried it, and we found Rick Wagner was former chairman and CEO of General Motors. Rick was there during the financial crisis back in 08 and 09, and he had been in a search for HIG for a board member. Serge, he's a thought leader in the automotive space. We called up Rick. He knew who we were because of the search work that we had done for HIG, and he helped us diligence this deal. He ended up writing a check into the co-invest with us as well, and he was instrumental in helping connect us with great people around the automotive industry, which ultimately led to getting ExxonMobil to be an LP and invest in that particular deal. So our tools are really around the sourcing and the diligence side of the business there.
It's interesting, real quick, Pablo. It's interesting that Zach said that because we went through a build versus buy analysis and looked at both of those companies and realized that we could build it, and then we just went and built it. And you know, I think that that's the former entrepreneur in me and my partners. We're all just like you guys, former operators, and so we were like, screw it, let's go and build this thing.
Yeah, we built it so we couldn't find the functionality we wanted, and we wanted to control it internally.
Got it. Well, let's give it up for our Florida investor panel.
Thank you guys.